Hello, folks. Cecil Pearson Jr. here. Today's topic is you get what you put in. You get what you put in. And as soon as some people get in here, we'll get started. I would like to say that I hope that each and every person who is watching is having a blessed day. Hello, Brother Shane. Hello, Jackal, Chase, Michael, Music, William. Good to see you guys today. Hello, Miss Janet. Hello, DM, Purple. Good to see you guys. Hello, Evan. Just hope that everybody is having a very blessed day today. Sorry I'm a bit late today, but I got up late and I had to get my voice straightened out before I decided to come on here. We're just going to jump right into it. We got about 25 in here, so we can go ahead and just get started. You're eating cookies. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, man, ain't nothing wrong with eating cookies. Glad to see you from Singapore. So here we go. You get what you put into it. And that's exactly what today's message is you get back what you put into it. Patriot, man, I don't have any fig Newtons. Not today, anyways. But what I'm talking about is prayer. A lot of people have emailed me and said, do you have to take a lot of time when you pray? Does God get upset if you just give an abridged version? Does God get upset if you only pray for like 5 minutes? And I would like to take you guys, before we get into the message part of it, to the Garden of Gethsemane. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus asked his disciples to pray with him for an hour. And when he returned to them, he found them asleep. Now, actually, I'm mixing up two things. We're going to get to the Garden of Gethsemane, but Jesus asked the disciples to pray with him and to pray with him for an hour. And then he would, when he came back, they were sleeping and they weren't praying. And he asked them, how can you not give 1 hour? But they had fallen asleep. And when Jesus went into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, he prayed alone. And when he was there and he was praying alone, he said, thank you, Patriot Man, I appreciate that. He said, Father, if there be any way, let this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, not my will, your will be done. Jesus knew the pain that he was going to have to endure when he went to the cross. He also knew that he could, at any time, not take up the cross. Remember, there was 20,000 legions of angels waiting to take him off that cross. Thank you, Trish. I appreciate that. All he had to do was open his mouth and call them. But he didn't do that. He stayed on the cross. But the cross is not what we're talking about just yet today. It's the prayer. When Jesus asked his disciples to pray with him for an hour, they couldn't do it. They fell asleep. When Jesus went into the Garden of Gethsemane, he showed just what hard work prayer is. When you pray and you pray right and you pray hard, you get hot, you sweat. Now, Jesus prayed so hard that his sweat became as great drops of blood. Appreciate that, Off-Road. Thank you very much. He prayed so hard that his sweat become as great drops of blood. I want you to understand that. That's some hard praying. I have prayed to the point to where I've been soaking wet with sweat when I've got done praying. And when I pray and I pray that long and that hard, the results is always more positive than when I just hit a quick prayer like I do when I'm fixing to close out on here sometimes. Prayer, when you're talking to God and if you talk to him for an hour, that is an hour of your time that you have given to God. And he expects that. It's not that he really expects, he appreciates it. He accepts it. He accepts any prayer time that you give him, be it 30 seconds or 30 hours, he appreciates it. But when we spend more time alone with God in our prayer closets, we get more back from God. I bet y'all thought this was going to be about money today. You get what you put in. That's not about money, folks. It's about prayer. You get more out of God for the more time that you spend with God. I hope I'm making sense here. The longer you spend in prayer and the more time you spend with God, the closer you're going to get with him. And the more he's going to bless you because you're spending more time with him. That's how this works. You could give $250 to God, to tithes, to whatever. And it's not going to bring you the same kind of blessing that you're going to get if you spend but 20 minutes with God. And see, Satan knows that if you start praying and you start getting through to God and spending time with God, you're creating a spiritual warfare against Satan. It's harder for him to get to you when you spend more time with God. Let me say that again. It's harder for Satan to get to you when you are spending more time with God. You have to be willing to put in the time. Now, sure, a quick prayer is just as effective as a long one when it comes to getting forgiveness, getting things done. But everybody tells me, brother, how do I get closer to God? How can I get closer to him? How can I have a better relationship with him? You can have a better relationship with God by spending more time with God. And that can be listening to gospel music, singing and praising him. That can be in prayer. That can be in reading his word. It can be in a number of ways. But Satan understands that the more time you spend listening to gospel music, you spend praying, you spend reading the word, the closer you're going to come to God, and he's going to do everything in his power to prevent that from happening. Let's go back to the disciples. They were walking and talking with Jesus, and they couldn't give an hour because they fell asleep. They couldn't give 1 hour because they fell asleep. Now, I don't know how many of you have tried to pray for an hour. Me, when I go to pray and I'm going to do a good, long, hard prayer, I go in with a purpose. Like Sister Sheila, when she had her cancer, I went in with a purpose to pray for her. And I prayed until I felt like I got some relief and that she did too. I prayed for this woman for over an hour. That's hard work, folks. That's just as hard as putting in an 8-hour day out on the, that flies back, out on the farm. It's hard work. Because when you get started praying, you've got to fight off Satan, because now that you're praying, he's trying to put things in your mind. Things you need to do later, things you need to do now, things that you should be doing other than praying. He tries to make you tired where you fall asleep. How many of you pick up a book at night when you're laying in bed and go to read the Bible, and before you know it, you're asleep? You hadn't even cleared one chapter. If that Bible wasn't in your hand, you could lay there and watch TV for an hour or two. You could look at your phone, play games on your phone, watch videos on your phone, do whatever it is that you do on your phone. You can do that for an hour. But if you pick up the Word of God and start reading, you're asleep. It's because Satan don't want you to know what's in the book. He don't want you to have a closer relationship with God. He don't want you to put in the time with the Bible, with prayer, with fasting, with singing his praises. He don't want you to put that in, because when you do, he loses. So he does the one thing he can do: put you to sleep, distract your mind. I mean, I have been praying and fell asleep praying, and wake up 2 or 3 hours later and still be praying. I believe that was God protecting my mind from Satan so that I could continue to pray even when I was asleep, because my kids told me, "Dad, you were praying." I was asleep. You were praying. We heard you. But I put in a lot of time in prayer. A lot of time. Probably throughout a day's time, I spend at least 4 hours a day in prayer, if not more. More if there's something going on that somebody needs some help with. But Satan understands this, and he tries to distract my mind. He tries to distract me from when I start singing gospel music and playing my guitar and all this stuff. He tries to distract the mind so that I can't worship God, and I can't praise God, and I can't commune with God, and I can't talk to God. Because every time we do, it's literally like taking one of them great big army howitzers and firing artillery shells into Satan's camp. You're just bombing him, shaking the very ground that he has to stand on, because you are doing spiritual warfare against him. And you're spending time with God, and you're getting closer to him. So every time you hit your knees, you're taking a stance in God's army against Satan. Every time. You know, there was an old song that used to be in the church that I used to go to back when I was little. And it says, "God's got an army and they're marching through the land. Deliverance is their song and there's healing in their hands. Everlasting joy and gladness in their hearts. In this army, I have a part." That was an old chorus that we used to sing. Now, think about that. He does have an army. But much like most armies that's engaged in warfare for a long time, they get tired, they get distracted. And before they know it, they get wounded in battle. Well, God's soldiers get wounded in battle too. And it's from Satan's fiery darts. It's from the trials, the tribulations and stuff that he puts on you. And when he distracts you and gets you away from it, when he tells you, oh, you really didn't get saved. Look, you still remember the sin that you committed. Oh, you really didn't get healed. You don't feel as good as you ought to. Oh, this really didn't happen. Oh, that really didn't happen. All this stuff. Oh, this really didn't happen. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Oh, that really didn't happen this way. What's he doing? He's sowing the seed of doubt in your mind so it shakes your faith so you can't fight him. It's hard to fight Satan if you don't have faith. Well, when I put my arm up like that and block that light out, it really does help y'all see the camera better. I'm sorry, guys. This is the only light I've got. I'll try turning the camera a little bit more where it won't pick up so much of it. But that's what Satan is trying to do. He's trying to sow seeds of doubt in your mind. So when you leave, you don't leave with the joy of the Lord in your heart. You don't leave with the peace and contentment that you should have when you get up off your knees from praying, or from laying on your back, or laying on your face, or sitting in your chair, or standing up, or however you pray. Satan wants you to believe you didn't get anything accomplished, but you did. But you did. But he lies. He, the father of lies, lies to you and tells you you didn't get what you got. You didn't accomplish anything, that you failed in your prayer. That is Satan's job. And he's good at it. He is every bit as good at his job of causing you to doubt and causing you to fall asleep and causing you to have a less than prosperous relationship with God as God is giving you blessings. Understand that. God is the God of all. Satan, he only got one little area he's got to work in. So he puts all his time in that one little area. And that little area is to throw a spanner wrench, and if you don't know what that is, a monkey wrench, right into your plans to prevent you from being able to do what you want to do for God. Now, I'm not here trying to give Satan any credit, folks. I'm just trying to tell you what his job is. His job is to make each and every one of you 64 people that's in this room right now, his job is to make you doubt. His job is to sow seeds of discord. His job is to bring about trolls. His job is to do a whole host of things to upset God's apple cart. See, he can't attack God. He already tried that and he lost. He can't attack God. He can't. So what does he do? He attacks the thing that God loves the most, us. There you go. And he tries to separate us from the Father so that we can't be back there with him. So when you're taking time out of your day, out of your very busy schedule, from playing video games on your phone, or looking at videos on your phone, or watching a television set, when he's giving you all this to keep you away from God. These things right here are fantastic. Again, I don't have a telephone service on mine. I can't afford it. But I do have one about using for the internet and for looking stuff up and for taking pictures and making videos and stuff. I do have one. These things are wonderful. when you don't let it be an all-consuming thing. If you've got to have this in your hand all day, Satan already has beaten you up and won. Did you hear me, church? He has beaten you up and has won if you can't go without this. I walk out and leave this laying on the desk and I don't think twice on it. I get to Walmart and I'll go, oh, I need to check something because Walmart's got Wi-Fi. I need to check something. I ain't got it. I got to wait till I get back home. Now, my kids, they constantly got them things stuck in their ears, them earbuds stuck in their ears. You got to shout like you trying to rain down hellfire on them just to get their attention because they listening to their music. When I was in school, I had a record player. For those of y'all don't know what a record player is, it's a disc about that big a record is, and it's about that thick. It's got little grooves on it, and when you put a needle on it, the needle picks up the sound and makes it come out the speakers, and it makes music that way. I've been told I need to describe what these old things that I'm using in my illustrations are, because the younger folk don't know what a record player is. So I had a record player, and I had an AM FM stereo, and I had an 8-track cassette player. That's what I had to listen to music on. And my mom and daddy, they loved Elvis. I like Elvis too. They also love country and western music. I like country and western music. I also like some rock music. But now my daddy would beat the britches off of me if he heard me listening to any kind of rock music. I mean, he'd beat my britches off. Yes, sir, he would. He wouldn't have that stuff in his house. But I like all kinds of music, except rap. I really don't care for it. But I like all kinds of music. So I would be listening to this music while I was doing my homework. I even had a little set. It wasn't little. It was great big headphones like this that had an antenna that come up off of it, made you look like some kind of robot. That you could tune in a FM radio when you was outside. Is a transistor radio that come in through your earphones. I had one of them that I would use on a tractor so I could listen to music while I was driving a tractor, because I like to listen to music. I love it. Now, I wasn't listening to all kinds of different music out there on the tractor. Most of the time, I was listening to the local gospel station because that was the station that was the closest to me. But folks, I wasn't saved at that time, but I still liked the music. So I listened to it. I'm riding in the tractor and I'm listening to that music. I'd find myself singing Rock of Ages, Amazing Grace, or whatever happened to come on the radio. I'd be singing along with it because I like music. But at no time did I ever let it distract me to the point that I didn't listen to my parents and I wasn't able to do what I was supposed to do. You walk in and through the grocery store, walk through Walmart, through a grocery store, through a mall, somebody going to run into you because they walking like this. They reading on their screen and they just run right into you. They literally just run right into you. I had to remember to take my medicine. But these folks run into you because they ain't paying attention. Satan's greatest tool to keep you away from prayer is this thing. Right now, it's that thing. Because he knows the more time that you spend in prayer the harder it is for him to get a hold to you. We're right back to where we were. See how that works? The more time you spend in prayer, singing, and praising and worshiping God, the more time you do that, the less time he has to tempt you, to try to pull you away, to try to separate you from God. So what does he do? Puts one of these things in your hands. Ooh, we got to have it, got to have it. That thing's like a Snickers bar, buddy. You get hangry without it. Hangry is a word now, I guess. It's called hunger, anger, I guess. It's from what I glean from the young folk. But you get obsessed with them. Oh, I left my phone at home. Oh, what am I ever going to do? You'll be 5 miles away from home. Oh, I got to go back and get that phone. You're only a mile from the store. But I've got to have my phone. But you're only a mile from the store. But my phone, somebody might try to call me. Folks, ain't nothing so important that you got to turn around, drive 5 miles back, get your phone when you was only 1 mile from where you were going. If they need to talk to you, they'll leave a message or they'll call you back. That's what my daddy always told me. They want to talk to you. When they call, I answer the phone. I'll write down what they got to say. I'll take a message for you, and then you can call them back when you get off the tractor. Go plow, boy. Yes, sir. I'm going to plow right now. But I really am looking for my teacher to call. I'd have friends, but I had a teacher that called me. And we would talk about things that we were going to be doing in school and about lessons, because he was taking a special interest in me because I was having a hard time in his subject. So he would call and give me lessons on the phone on how to do things. Well, after the first message that my daddy had to take from him, my daddy said, you just wait till your teacher calls and then you go get on the tractor, because I couldn't understand half what that man said. Is algebra. But we are a society today to where we literally feel like if we leave home without the cell phone, we're going to die. Something bad's going to happen. Oh, the world will stop turning because I can't go play a Pokemon Go. Well, there was going to be good Pokemons here, and I've left my phone at home. What am I going to do? I've heard this conversation. That's why I'm having this conversation. Really? A Pokemon. They had to decide to make games that would keep you walking on your phone so you wouldn't just sit still and die. That's how bad this distraction is in God's work. There are churches now that have had to put up signs in the narthex, turn your cell phones off, no cell phones allowed. Turn your cell phone off, no cell phones allowed. They needed to put up a sign to tell folks to turn this thing off. It's a distraction in church. If it's a distraction in church, it's a distraction in your home. It's a distraction at your job. It's a distraction in your car. It's a distraction any and everywhere you go. If it's a distraction in one place, it's a distraction in another. That should only be used in free time. Free time. And to hear most folks talk about it, they don't have any free time. So your cell phone plan ought not to cost you that much money. Amen? But it is a distraction. And it's what Satan wants. He wants to keep you from praying. He wants to keep you from hearing the word, reading the word. He wants to keep you from listening to gospel music. He wants to keep you distracted with his beautiful distraction so you can't get closer to God and be able to fight him off. That's what Satan wants to do. He'll use a cell phone. He'll use a woman. He'll use a man. He'll use a child. He'll use your car. He'll use your television. He'll use any and everything at his disposal to keep you from becoming closer to God. So you're going to get back out of your prayer life what you put into it. And if you can't give God but 5 minutes because Pokemon Go is calling, then don't expect God to give you any more than 5 minutes. Am I making myself clear? If you can't give God but 5 minutes time because you've got to go catch a Pokemon, or you've got to go play Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever you got on your phone or your Nintendo Switch or your Xbox or your PlayStation or your Wii, if you can't give God longer than 5 minutes because you want to go have some fun, don't expect him to give you any more time than you're willing to give him. Why should he? Seriously, folks, why should he? Now, the Lord gives us a lot more than 5 minutes. Yes, he does. But what do you give him? Folks could have such a better life. They could have more inner peace. They could have more joy. They could have more happiness if they would dedicate more time to God. If God was as important to children today as a cell phone, iPad, computer, or gaming console, whoo, glory. I'm telling you now, it'd be some glory, hallelujah, revival time, sure enough. Because the innocent would be praying. Hello? But parents are so busy with their own thing and doing their own thing that they can't be bothered to watch children. Don't know why my child got stole. They were in the front yard playing on a phone. Well, what were you doing? Well, I was in the kitchen playing on a phone. So you weren't watching your child. Well, I was in the kitchen on my phone. So that's why your child got took, is because you weren't paying attention. That's what cops want to say. They're not allowed to say it because it would get them fired because it would offend somebody. But that's what cops want to say, is you weren't paying attention. They have even come out with this advisement. I love this one. Put something important like your phone in the back seat with your child so you don't forget your child is in the car with you when you get to where you're going. Excuse the volume here. Your child's supposed to be the most important thing in your car, not your phone. Put your phone in your back seat so you've got something important back there with your child. That's what they're saying. Your child is the most important thing in your phone, not in your car, not your phone. Really? Put your phone in the back seat so you don't forget your kid. Why? Because the phone has you so distracted, you can't remember you got your kid. Now, how can a telephone not be the work of Satan? How can it not be a distraction of Satan when it can make you forget your child? How are you ever supposed to spend any time in prayer and in fasting and singing his praises and reading his word if you can't remember your child because of a phone? Sorry, folks, I'm just calling it like I see it on this Good Friday morning. Afternoon now. But that's the thing, is Satan is going to distract you. If it's a new car or a newer car than the one that you have, if it's a new program on TV, maybe a brand new video game has come out, maybe this has happened, maybe that has happened. He tries to give you something to take your mind off of spending time with God. Now, you folks, there's 76 people in here now. Some of you folks might have a good time when you pray. I don't have a good time when I pray. I'm working when I'm praying. That's my job. I'm working when I'm praying. Now, I have a good time when I'm singing his praises and I'm listening to his music. I'm having a good time in the Lord then. That's when the joy of the Lord really saturates me, is when I'm praising God. And it will you too. So everything is done by Satan to cause a distraction to keep you away from God. You get it? You understand what I'm saying? I'm certain that you do. But I have things that I like to do that don't involve prayer, fasting, gospel music, or reading the word, or answering emails, or answering messages, or taking calls, or anything else. And folks, again, I just don't take calls, and I hope y'all understand that. I hope you can get that. I hope you can see why I can't do that. But I have things in my life that, while I keep God on my mind when I'm doing them, they're not about God, because I'm a human being. But I don't let anything distract me when it's time for me to pray, when it's time for me to study, when it's time for me to praise. I don't let things distract me when it's time for me to do these things. When it's time for me to do, when it's my time with God, then nothing else distracts me. Nothing. But I still think about him throughout the day. Like when I play one of my games. When I play one of my games, I still think about God. I sure do. Talk about him in the chat on the game. I sure do. I also think about God when I'm driving down the road. I try to keep him foremost in my mind all the time. But sometimes I get distracted too. And when I do, I always ask God to forgive me for it. Not that it's a sin, but I feel like I've let him down and I want him to forgive me for it. And I ask him to forgive me for it so I can go on and I can feel better, because I've realized I let Satan distract me for just a minute. Now I didn't have my mind where I needed it to be. Yeah, that's how I talk to God. See, if you were, let me see here. Let me pick a name over here. I ain't going to use Brother Shane. I use him all the time. Um, Sweet sun shower. Let's use you. Me and you riding down the road, and you trying to talk to me, and I get to fiddling with the radio, and I turn it up so loud that I can't even hear you talk. It upsets you because I'm not paying attention to you. You're trying to talk to me and tell me something about your day, and well, I just don't want to hear it at the particular moment. I'm distracted. I don't want to hear what you got to say. That kind of bugs you. I know it bugs me. So whenever you're talking to me, I need to be listening to you. Thank you, Felicia. I appreciate that, honey. Thank you so much. But whenever you're talking to me, I need to give you my undivided attention so that you can tell me what's on your mind, and we can converse and we can have a good story back into to one another. That's one thing me and my wife always did. We would sit down on the bed every night before she go to sleep, and she'd tell me about her day and I'd tell her about mine. We'd talk about how things could have been better or how things could have been worse. But we always made time for each other. If it wasn't nothing but an hour, and there in her last days, that time got a lot shorter because she was a lot busier at work. But we always made time for one another so we could have a good relationship, so we could still love one another, and we didn't go to bed angry, so we could wake up and still be in love with one another. I was married to that woman for 18 years. Sorry. And a day didn't pass and I didn't tell that woman that I loved her at least 15, 20 times a day. And it didn't pass and she didn't tell me at least 15 or 20 times a day. We were still in love. After 18 years being together, we were still in love. And I think that's why this has been so hard on me, is because we were still in love. And I wanted her, and I still do. But I know she's where she's supposed to be, and I'm all right with that. But I love God just as much and more. I love him more than I did my wife. I apologize for that, but it's a point that I'm trying to make. I love God even more than I loved my wife, and she loved him more than she did me, which is why we always worked together so well. We always had such a good relationship. Now, we fought like cats and dogs about things. I ain't going to sit here and say we never had an argument. We did. But at the end of the day, the argument was over and we was in love again. And that's where you've got to be with God, is you've got to be in love with God. You've got to want to tell him everything. You've got to want to tell him about your day. You've got to want to tell him every little detail about what happened. And you can't let Satan distract you with a cell phone. You can't let him distract you with a video game or anything else. You've got to be able to have your time alone with God, because he desires it. And you'll have such a better life if you have your time alone with God. I had my time alone with my baby, but I also had my time alone with God. And folks, when I say, please don't message me after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not because I'm trying to be ugly. It's because I'm trying to have my time with my kids. My kids get off the bus at 3:30. They come in, they use the bathroom, they get a snack, they sit down, and they want to tell me about their day. And I don't want to be distracted from what they're trying to tell me. So please, if you're just wanting to send me a link to a video, or if you're trying to send me some meme or something, keep it until the next day. Don't send it. Please don't. If it's not important, don't message me after 4 o'clock. I'm trying to have my time where I can spend it and be available for my kids. They deserve that of their daddy. They deserve that. You guys get me for 8 hours, say 10. You get me for 6 hours a day. That's more time than my kids get me. But now, if you need to talk or you're a close friend of mine, go ahead and message me. But if I don't respond, don't be upset with me because I'm spending time with my kids. I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my God. And I need time to be able to pray for y'all. Oh, hello, Pastor. What? I need time to pray for y'all. You don't think it happens in 5 minutes, do you? It takes about an hour, hour and a half sometimes for me to spend alone with God in prayer. The results that you folks are seeing from the prayer that I do and that other folks are praying for you for, it don't happen in 5 minutes. It takes somebody to put in the work. It takes somebody to put in the time. It takes somebody to care. Remember, you get out of the prayer what you put into the prayer. So it takes some time along with God to get through what is what I call praying through, so that I'm not being distracted by Satan. I'm not being a Twitter, a tweet, or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is. I try to get away from the distractions so I can pray properly, so I can study properly, so I can bring you these messages properly, so God can speak to me, so I can talk to you guys. Don't be upset if I don't answer you back when I'm praying. I don't answer my kids when I'm praying. They know better. They know unless somebody's dying, bleeding, or the house is on fire, you better not interrupt Dad when he's praying. But not happen. They know. So remember, Satan has distractions, and he's good at them, and he's going to use them. He's going to try to keep you from reading that Bible by, ooh, you're asleep now. He's going to try to keep you from singing them praises by, ooh, you asleep now. Or, ooh, this song reminded me of a song I heard when I was a young'un. Now you're not listening to gospel music anymore. You're listening to something you was listening to when you was a kid. See how this works? He can distract you just that easy. And they come in that fast because your mind processes information so fast that you can have 5 thoughts in 2 seconds. Yeah. Done. Had those thoughts, but now you're not thinking about, well, this thing's showing out now. We'll have to do it that way. My chat stopped working over on the side, so I had to bring it out over here. So, well, about 60 words a minute. But have to have a scan done. Please pray they don't find anything. You bet we will, sweet sunshower. I know there was a reason why I picked you earlier. But you have to understand that there are distractions, and they're meant by Satan to take you away from God so that you can't concentrate on what you need to concentrate on. And now I need to move this back over here. So, yep. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a few questions pretty much about anything. Well, Austin, I'm glad you get to visit your niece for your birthday. That's good. What's my favorite game? Has to be Overwatch, followed closely by the new Fortnite that just released. It's really good. Do I fast? Yes. Yes, I do. I don't talk about that because you're not supposed to, but yes, I do. So, how do you say putting in time would be considered watching your live stream? Putting in time. Yeah, sure. Putting in time by watching preachers and stuff on there, as long as you're getting something out of it, and as long as you're talking to God about it. Then yeah, you're spending time with God, and you're spending time with His people, and you're listening to His word. So yeah, He's going to bless you for that. Let's see. Do I play on Xbox? Sometimes, not really. I'm more of a PC guy. Let's see. No, the only two games I really play, well, three games I really play is Farming Simulator 19, Overwatch, and Fortnite. And I just started playing Fortnite again a couple days ago. Playing games can become sinful if you put them before God. Yes, but as long as you don't put them before God, then no. Daniel, I drink water when I'm fasting, or I just don't drink at all. Occasionally, if my stomach's upset, I'll drink the Diet Coke with Splenda because water's really bad for me. So I'll drink that. But most of the time, I don't take anything. I did too, Emerald Bro. I started way back in season 3. Can you do gameplay of Fortnite or Overwatch or? What do you mean? Can I do gameplay of Fortnite, Overwatch, or Farming Simulator? What do you mean? Purple. You mean can I do videos of it? Yeah, I could, but I'm not going to do that on this channel. I'm just not going to do that. This channel's dedicated to the Lord, and there's a few videos on here that's not. But yeah, I can stream. I can stream to Twitch. I can stream to Facebook. I can stream to YouTube if I can figure out how to work the OBS streamer that I have, or OSB, or whatever, the open source streaming, or whatever it is, open source broadcasting. If I can figure out how to work that thing, right now I just want to take a hammer and just beat the keyboard when I start looking at that because it aggravates me. Do I watch sports? I do. I like football and basketball. I like NASCAR. Yeah. Michael McLaughlin, what was your email about? Or what was your email about? I get about 3,000 emails a day, brother. You'll have to be a little more specific. Oh, and that's something I wanted to explain to you guys. If you guys send me an email and it's a phone number and you've got the email attached to the text, I can't respond to those. I don't have a way to. Again, I don't get phone service on my phone, so I can't respond to those emails, so you might as well not send them. If you're just sending and it's a phone number instead of an email, I can't reply to you. I can't. I really don't have one, McFat. I really don't. I don't play a lot of cards. Now, back when I did, well, I guess I do have Uno because I like to play Uno with my kids, especially when I get one of them reverse back draw four type deals. I like that. Probably not in T Woods. I'm probably not going to play the new Call of Duty because my son's going to want it for Xbox, and I'm not going to be able to afford Xbox and PC, so he'll probably get it. I don't really, not really gotten into it since they got away from the World War II stuff. Trisha, I will most certainly be praying for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and rebuke that depression. Put you on some upbeat gospel music. Start clapping your hands, singing along, and praising God. And before you know it, you'll have the joy of the Lord back, and that depression will be pushed out of the way. Well, oh, I appreciate that, Will. But it's been over a year, and again, Michael, you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. I get about 1,000 testimonies a day, brother. Really and truthfully, I do. I'm not kidding when I say I spend about 4 to 5 hours answering emails and messages. It takes a long time. There is no staff. No one answers my emails for me but me. No one reads your emails but me. So when you send something to me that's private, it stays private. It doesn't get discussed here. It doesn't get discussed with anybody. So you just have to be a little more specific. I'm thinking that it seems like I remember your email. It does. You told me your testimony. I believe that. I don't want to tell a lie, so I can't. I can say I can't remember. I can't remember because there are just so many of them. Yeah, he got banned. Purple, he got banned. He's gone. Yes, I did get that. I don't want to discuss it on here, but yes, I did. But folks, we're coming up on an hour. Is it a sin to get mad? No, it's not a sin to get mad, but what you do with the anger could become sinful. Uh, Michael, I will be praying for you, brother, and I have been praying for you. Veronica, I sure do appreciate that. Folks, we appreciate all of the prayers, all of the donations, all of the snacks, everything that folks send to us and send our way. We appreciate it. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart because there's been times we wouldn't have been able to make it without it. And I'm telling you right now, it's been one of those times, and we're just so thankful for everything that you guys do. Y'all, please can't talk. My tongue keeps getting tangled up around my eye teeth, and I can't see what I'm saying. There's a saying I bet you ain't heard in a long time. But y'all continue to pray for us. We'll continue to pray for y'all. Daniel, questions don't get annoying, brother. That's what I'm here for. I try to answer them. I do the best I can. If I don't know the answer, I try to find the answer in the Bible for you guys. But anyways, I love you guys, not as much as God. Y'all have a great, blessed, and wonderful day, and I will see y'all the next time.